My fiancé's father didn't bother with pleasantries like a knock at the door. He marched into my apartment with the swagger of someone who thought he held dominion over everything in his path, his aura laced with the crisp tang of expensive cologne and thinly masked disdain. Taking a seat, he crossed one leg over the other with deliberate ease, pulling a tidy stack of papers from a sleek leather briefcase. "Sign these," he instructed, sliding the documents across the table with a dismissive flick of his hand. "It's a standard prenup to protect my daughter's fortune." His eyes gleamed with the steely assurance of a lender facing a desperate debtor. "I won't let a man of your status drain her wealth," he added, his voice almost offhand, as though my silence affirmed his dominance. I stayed quiet, my gaze caught by the polished gold cufflinks on his wrists, their intricate engravings glinting boldly in the light. If only he knew the truth. I'd built a fortune of $29 million through my own grit, unlike him. But the money wasn't the point. The real contest was what he believed he could get away with, and how I intended to undo him. 3 years prior, I met Anna, a woman who seemed to float free from the opulent confines of her upbringing. Or so I thought. She was understated where her family was flamboyant, empathetic where they were ruthless. Our first trip together, to Florence, stayed vivid in my mind. No bodyguards, no calls from her father, just us, meandering through the city's ancient cobblestone paths beneath a starlit sky. She spoke of craving a life carved by her own decisions, not one shaped by her father's riches. I trusted her then. I missed the subtle hints. The quiet phone conversations she took out of earshot, her unquestioning acceptance of her father's grip on certain finances, the offhand remark that slipped out once, "Dad's not fully convinced about you." Love can blunt even the sharpest instincts, and I was no outlier. That shifted 2 weeks ago when reality struck like a knife. While Anna showered, her phone lit up with a new message. I wasn't one to snoop, until I was. The screen read, "Dad, just ensure he signs. Do whatever it takes. We'll be safe once it's done." The word we cut deep. I scrolled further, revealing weeks of texts that framed me as a hurdle to be cleared, scheming to ensure I'd have no claim if things unraveled. The most damning came from her. "Don't worry, Dad. I'll make him think it's routine paperwork. He trusts me entirely." I didn't confront her, or lose my temper. Instead, I greeted her with a warm smile when she stepped out, kissed her gently, and suggested we get dinner. That was when my plan began to form. My first move was to call Michael, my lawyer. A man as subtle as he was sharp and the only one I trusted with the full scope of my wealth. Together, we drafted my own prenuptial agreement, one that didn't just shield my assets but artfully reclaimed the penthouse I'd placed in Anna's name, voided any claim she might have to my fortune, and included clauses that appeared generous but would dissolve if she betrayed me. I knew she wouldn't read it closely. Her confidence in me echoed the trust I'd once placed in her. My second step was to buy the building that housed her father's flagship office. A cash deal completed quietly. The lease would expire in 6 months. For my third move, I discreetly acquired a majority stake in one of his overlooked companies, the quiet cornerstone that propped up his sprawling empire. He'd neglected it for years, distracted by shinier pursuits. Then I waited. When he handed me his prenup 4 days before the wedding, I nodded and signed, letting a faint smile cross my lips, just enough to unsettle him. "Good to do business," I said, returning the papers. He had no clue his agreement was trivial compared to the one his daughter would sign the next day. The day before the wedding, Anna came to my apartment with coffee and a tentative smile. "Just something my lawyer requires," I told her, handing over a folder. "It keeps things fair for both of us, sets us up for the future." She barely skimmed the pages before signing. The wedding itself was impeccable, until the reception. As the band finished their first set, I took the microphone. I spoke to the guests about trust, about the danger of mistaking kindness for weakness, about a love that was nothing but a charade. Then I revealed the messages, word for word, on the massive screen behind me. Anna's face drained of color, her father's jaw fell, and murmurs spread through the crowd like a rising tempest. I saw him stand, ready to charge the stage, but my voice cut through again. "Oh, Richard," I said, letting his name hang in the tense air. "Your downtown lease? It won't be renewed. I own that building now. And the company funding your new yacht? I hold 51% of it. Consider this your notice, in business and in family. The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating, absolute. I walked out before they could recover, still in my tuxedo, wanting the image to burn into their minds. Me unshaken, striding away as their world splintered. 2 months later, I sold his company for double my investment. I never spoke to Anna again. Sometimes, I recall that night in Florence, her hand in mine as we walked along the Arno River, and I wonder if any of it was real for her. Then the memory of those messages resurfaces, along with the look on her father's face when he realized the poor man he'd tried to belittle had dismantled him without ever raising his voice. Justice doesn't always require rage. Sometimes, it calls only for patience and a perfectly timed smile.